Guys, what are we going to look at today? Well, we're going to do the comparison between cheap and budget, because there's definitely a difference. So, and you guys are stuck having to watch videos about this because you guys voted and paid for me to do this. So yeah, let's go ahead and turn this around, and we're going to look at something that is budget friendly and something that is a good chance a waste of money. So guys, you know what time it is. Turn down that volume because here comes a little bit of music. Guys, we are going to look at some cheap versus budget. So I have two cheap knives and two budget knives. Now I will say that this knife and this knife both cost more than the combined price of these two knives. But there's a trade-off. So let's go ahead and take a look at these cheap ones first and compare them to some of these budget offerings and see, you know what? I really don't think that cheap fits your budget. So let's go ahead and get these three out of the way. So as you guys know, I've been carrying this pretty much for the entire month. I put my $1,000 Norseman away. My daughter has hidden it from me so that I can't be, you know, cheating the system. This is a Cutlery Corner Network purchase. This was part of a thing that they sell, which is 3 knives for $20, and they say it's a $90 value. So you get 3 knives. I have the other 2 available for us to look at as well. But the problem with these knives are that, and I'm sorry, while I was talking, there's a visual of what we purchased over on the side from Cutlery Corner Network. So these knives that came, they're trying to say we're a $90 value. That would put each one of these knives at about $30. And I'm going to tell you right now, I own $30 knives and I wouldn't pay $30 for this. So let's get into some of the issues with, I mean, these are not good at all. So as you can see, that's just paint. I have scraped it up. I have not done a lot of cutting with it because the fact is you cannot finish a cardboard box. Now I am going to sharpen this because we're about halfway through the month. Right now, what it's been doing is cutting tape. And it doesn't even really do a very good job of that. So it doesn't hold its edge very well. You can't really finish a cardboard box. I'm telling you right now, the heat treat on this has got to be garbage because I cannot even cut the flaps off a cardboard box without needing to touch this up on some ceramic rod or something. So I don't think the heat treat's really good on it. I am going to shoot the sharpening video either today or tomorrow. But the issues I have with it is just construction standards are horrible. This one did not do as badly as the one we're about to pull up and look at. So you can hear there's this horrible squeak to it. It doesn't always deploy. Sometimes it feels as though it's caught. There's something catching inside. And so you'll push the button and it'll get to about here and stay like that. And then you got to like pull it open. But that squeak is getting worse over time. So I'm pretty sure there's some super glue in here because that is stuff that it's working its way out of the knife. I'm not sure what it is, but as it works its way out of the knife, it hardens up. So you can see how it's been like kind of oozing out of the knife and then hardening on it, it's almost like pine sap, but it hardens up like a lot. Like it's really hard. So I don't know what that is. And then, you know, typically with these cheap knives, plastic scales, garbage pocket clip, and it's tip down only. So these knives at $30 a knife, this one actually feels better in hand than that one, but the blade is horrible on it. And this one has an abundance of play. And let's look at the last reason I'm going to say they're not worth it, and then we'll pull up some of the actual budget knives. I carried this knife for a total of about 4 hours before it started to develop a lot of weird blade play. Like, I mean, not just like not just back and forth, tipped it, like it is completely loose. I cannot tighten the pivot because the pivot is stripped. I can't get it out to try and fix it. And it snapped clear, the liner snapped clear past the blade when I was trying to open it, and now I can't get it back across without taking it apart. So there you go. I mean, that blade, not only is it poorly made, it's pretty much dangerous and unusable. You can see the liner will not go back over. So I don't know. I'm going to try and get it apart, but I don't have a lot of hopes that even if I got this apart, I'd be able to fix it. I couldn't, like, I didn't even really use this that much. So, you know, the longevity of these, they're horrible. So in all honesty, when you look at what you paid, like, yeah, I paid $10 a knife. How long is this knife going to last me? If I have to replace this knife twice a year, well, that's $20. In like 2 years, I could have bought a fairly decent budget knife for that price. So let's go ahead and get this garbage out of the way, especially this broken one. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep saying I'm going to try and fix it, but I don't know. Let's get that out of the way. Now let's look at comparison-wise a couple of budget offerings. So as opposed to these, we've got a couple knives here that are under $100. This is the CJRB Ria, a knife I really like, good budget offering, done in quality materials, and it has held up. And you can see it gets used a lot, and it gets cleaned up, and it's done in a steel that is pretty good, but you're still looking at under $100. I think these are around 50, but I don't know. I'll make sure I put the price across the bottom. And the Tucson TS383, which I do know is listed as $88. Good steel, good grind, good ergos, and it cuts really well. I have cut down a lot with this and only had to sharpen it once. So in the big scope of things, yeah, I'm paying $88, but that's only 4 of these knives. Only 4 of these knives. These are, it's supposed to be like $10, like it's supposed to be a $90 value. You're looking at, you know, 3 knives, $30. It's not even, it's like 2, maybe 2 of these knives. If you're looking at it from how they've got it listed as retail value. You just are getting so much more out of some of these budget knives. And everybody's like, well, you know, sometimes like this, you're supporting this and that. No, you're not, because this is still just a garbage 420 stainless, and it's done in China, as well as, so is this. I do know both these knives are made in China, but like what you're getting comparatively, this is going to outlast, you know, if this knife is taken care of, I could carry this knife for the rest of my life. You know, could it have some issues? Yeah, possibly. But, you know, at $88, if something happens, I can replace it. If you're spending $20 a pop on these, $10 a pop on these, if you spend $10 for these, I think you paid $9 too much. These are going to fail, and you're still going to have to replace them. And so a good budget knife that's at like possibly 2 or 3 times the price of one of these, you're still looking at such a good value. And then like something like this, where it's not just that you're getting, like, these are flashy and showy, and they get people with the, oh, well, the, you know, it's got the artwork on it. I got news for you. Watch this. The first time you get up against something, you're going to scratch that artwork because it's just paint on plastic. See? It's paint on plastic. And so you're really getting a lot more out of this, even though it is a lot more expensive. But in comparison, you're really not overspending. I don't trust these knives. I don't think they're safe. This was fun that we did this. The fun one is going to be, I'm going to sharpen this knife. I'm going to sharpen this knife, and I'm going to give it a fair shot, because what I want to see is, did they heat treat this? Because when we get around to it and I sharpen this, we can see if maybe it was just soft metal at the edge because it got overheated, which happens even in more expensive knives, or if it's just poorly heat treated, and we're going to be able to tell when we start sharpening. Like I said, the edge on this is held up incredibly. This I can't even get a box. So like when you look at what it's worth and what you can do with it, you can't do much with this. If you needed a one-time use knife because you just needed it because you didn't have a knife and you had to cut some rope, yeah, $10. You don't, if you're not a guy that would ever carry a knife for any other purpose, you just need it for one-time use, yeah, go get one of these. It'll do what you need for a day, and you can chuck it. You want, if you're a guy that carries a knife and needs it for a lot of different stuff, carry one of these. Get one of these budget knives. And like I said, a lot of these budget knives now are comparable, the way they feel, the way they cut, the quality of construction, to much more expensive knives. You just have some limitations, like there's a lot less of, quality assurance. Sometimes you'll have something that favors the lock scale or show scale. You might get a little bit of a misgrind. But all in all, the big difference is this doesn't have a lifetime warranty like a lot of more expensive knives. So these knives don't get as much support as the more expensive knives. That's the big difference. These are just garbage. They really, really are just garbage. So we'll do a video. I'm probably going to do it today where I sharpen this knife just so we can see how it sharpens and things like that. But yeah, I'm not going to say that cheap knives are a value. I think if anything, if they are more expensive in the long run, because truly you're going to have, if you're a guy that's going to carry one of these, you're going to have to replace these way more often than you would ever have to replace one of these. I've had this knife for 2 years now. So there you go, guys. That's my thoughts on cheap versus budget. Cheap doesn't always equal budget. Budget doesn't always mean cheap. Turn this around and do some final thoughts. So guys, there you go. That's budget versus, you guys bought these. I've got to do a bunch of stuff about them. I'm going to give it like a full review, I guess. I don't know. I was going to do first aid carry, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So yeah, that's it on this. These are not truly cheap. When you really look at how fast these things fall apart and how often you would have to replace them, real shortly, if you had a bunch of these that you got at a budget price, you'd be getting into the realm of getting yourself a decent budget knife. So they really aren't cheap. If anything, they are deceptively expensive. So guys, there you go. That's it on this one. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. But you've got to tell me what you don't like, because I can't change it if you don't leave a comment. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. But if you do hit the bell icon, make sure you got notifications turned on your device, or you won't get notified of the sometimes 3 items that go up a day. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do it financially. I have a few ways down below. First and foremost, I have a tier-based membership. Different benefits, different tiers. Pick the tier that suits you best. But remember, everyone saves $5 on my sharpening service, and everyone has access to my gilded server. But if you want to be a premium tier member, I've got a sharpening tutorial series that I've set up for those guys. Other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links down below where I've got a lot of stuff: EDC gear, tools, stones, recommended knives. But I would like to point out that I have 2 big new ones, one of them being Coffee Brand Coffee. If you don't want to pay for political pandering and just want to pay for your product, Coffee Brand Coffee. And if you want to find some of the knives that you see on this channel, Blade HQ is one of my newest affiliates. I'm really happy about that. It took about a year to get it. Pretty much everything you're going to see on the channel, you probably can find on Blade HQ. And to find a way you can do it, merchandise store. I have merchandise down below. At my merchandise store, I've set up a coupon code that works anywhere at the Ember Shirt Co. site where my merchandise store is. And that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, all one word, saves you 10% at checkout. And if you purchase my merchandise and send me pictures of you wearing it, I will put those pictures in the videos. Guys, I love y'all. Keep it clean in the comment section. It makes it easier to moderate the channel. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video.